friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Mangesh Dushing, and in this series of lectures of chromatography, in this particular video lecture, we will learn supercritical fluid chromatography, that is SFC, and capillary electrophoresis. So this lecture is for FYBSc level students. Friends, first we will see the principle of supercritical fluid chromatography, SFC. The supercritical fluid chromatography is the combination, that is hybrid of gas and liquid chromatography, and hence it is associated with some of the best features of each other, though it is both GLC and HPLC for a certain types of application. So supercritical fluid chromatography is the combination of gas chromatography as well as liquid chromatography. So what are the best things of this gas chromatography and liquid chromatography that are used in this supercritical fluid chromatography? Sometimes it very close to the GLC and HPLC also. First we'll see what are the properties of supercritical fluids and what is supercritical fluid. A supercritical fluid is formed when the substance is heated above its critical temperature. At this temperature, a substance can no longer be condensed into its liquid state through the application of pressure. So, supercritical fluid is the type of fluid when it is heated above its critical solution temperature. So, if you apply the pressure also, this supercritical fluid cannot go into the liquid state. That substance is called as a supercritical fluid. So supercritical fluid is present in a gaseous form. It is not in a state, not in a liquid state. For example, CO2, carbon dioxide, it becomes a supercritical fluid at the temperature above 31 degrees Celsius. So above 31 degrees Celsius, CO2 it acts as a supercritical fluid. At about 31 degrees Celsius, if you apply the pressure also, CO2 won't condense into the liquid state. That is called as supercritical fluid. In this supercritical fluid state, the molecule of CO2 behaves like freely of one another, simply as they are doing in gas. So this is the gaseous state only. So as in gaseous state, molecules are very free. So in this case also, molecules are very free from each other. So this is about supercritical fluid chromatography, and this is about supercritical fluids. Now there are so many gases like carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, ethane. So this can be used as a supercritical fluid, but among that one, this carbon dioxide is more preferred for the supercritical fluid chromatography. So what is the reason that carbon dioxide is a preferred supercritical fluid chromatography as a mobile phase? So these are the reasons. It has a low critical temperature and relatively low critical pressure. So at 31 degrees Celsius, it converts into the supercritical fluid. So this supercritical temperature is very less. So we can easily attain the easily made the supercritical fluid by this carbon dioxide gas. So this is the one of the reason. Second reason is it can be used with flame ionization detector, that is FID, the sensitivity of the detector of which only slightly decreased by the CO2. So if flame ionization detectors are there, if you are using supercritical fluids, so that decreases the sensitivity of this flame ionization detector. But if we are using a CO2 as a supercritical fluid, the sensitivity of the FID, that is flame ionization detector, is decreased but very slightly as compared to other gases. So this is the one more advantage if we are using the carbon dioxide as a supercritical fluid. It is relatively inert, although strongly basic compounds would undergo chemical reactions, that is formation of carbamates and amines. So it is relatively inert. CO2 gas won't react easily with the another component substance, which has to be separated by using this technique. So CO2 is very inert. It won't react with the acids and bases. only few compounds like strongly basic compounds reacts with the CO2 and forms carbamates with reaction with the amines. So these are the general properties why we are choosing the carbon dioxide gas for the supercritical fluid. Another supercritical fluid properties are like critical solution temperature for the fluid used in chromatography differ from 30 to above 200 degrees Celsius. So whatever the critical solutions we are using into this, see, that is supercritical fluid chromatography, the critical solution temperature is differ 30 degrees Celsius to about 200 degrees Celsius. Lower critical temperature are useful due to several reasons, as just we have seen these reasons. Lower critical temperature are useful due to several reasons. Hence, a lot of attention has been focused on supercritical fluids such as CO2. Its supercritical temperature is around 31 degrees Celsius. Ethane, it's 32 degrees Celsius. Nitrous oxide, 37 degrees Celsius. So according to this, if you are using a lower critical temperature, then that will be easier for the application. It is clear from these figures that these temperatures and pressure well within operating conditions of ordinary HPLC. So ordinary high pressure liquid chromatography, high performance liquid chromatography, or liquid chromatography, we can manage, we can monitor this temperature and pressure because these are very low. So under the operating conditions of ordinary HPLC, we can monitor these conditions, that is critical temperature and pressure. These are the reasons we are using CO2 as a supercritical fluid in supercritical fluid chromatography. Now we will see the instrumentation for the supercritical fluid chromatography, SFC. So this is the diagram for the supercritical fluid chromatography. So in this case, this is the main part, CO2 cylinder. This is the supercritical fluid. Then this is the injection port where mechanism drives. We can use a syringe pump to insert a sample or mixture sample to be separate. Then this is the column. It goes to the injection valve. From this injection valve, it goes to the column. So this column in a coil form, the diameter is around 2 to 4 millimeter and length is around 2 to 4 meter. Then it goes to the FID, that is detector, and from this detector this goes to the data system recorder, so we can get a chromatogram graph on the screen and you can take the printout also. So this is the simpler instrument as we can see in gas chromatography, liquid chromatography, as well as in HPLC also. So almost similar to that one. The density of the supercritical fluid increases speedily with increase in pressure. For example, the elution time for the hexadecane decreases from 25 minutes to 5 minutes as the pressure of CO2 is raised from 70 to 90 atmosphere. So friends, the density of the supercritical fluid increases with increase in pressure. So as we increase the pressure, the density of the supercritical fluid increases. Friends, a speed, that is retention time of the supercritical fluid is increases if we are increasing the pressure. For example, if we are taking the hexadecane, so retention time required is 25, so that will be decreased up to 5 minutes only. If we are increasing the CO2 pressure, that is mobile phase pressure, from 70 to 90 atmosphere, if we are increasing the pressure, then this fluid chromatography works faster, speedily with increase in pressure. Now columns, what types of columns are there? Both packed open tubular columns are used for supercritical fluid chromatography. Packed columns are fabricated from hard glass or metal stainless steel like copper or aluminum tubes. length is around 2 to 4 meter and the inside diameter is 2 to 4 millimeter. With porous organic polymer, open tubular columns are preferredly. Polysiloxanes are used as a column coating material because these are chemically bonded to the inner silica wall of the capillary tubing. So in this case, this is the column, how to which type of columns is required. So outer material is like hard glass or metal stainless steel or copper aluminum steel. Length is around 2 to 4 meter, diameter is around 2 to 4 millimeter. So that will be present in the coil form. So there are 4 to 5 rounds of these coils. Inside it is a porous organic polymer like a polysiloxanes that will be used for the column coating material. So because of this chemically bonded to inner silica wall of the capillary tubing. Mobile phase. Now what are the mobile phase? Already we know that supercritical fluid acts as a mobile phase. So carbon dioxide is the most widely used mobile phase for the supercritical fluid chromatography. It is a superior solvent for the variety of organic compounds and it transmits in a UV region, and it is odorless, non-toxic, readily available and comparatively cheaper. So these are the qualities of the CO2 gas for the using in supercritical fluid chromatography. So it is very cheaper, readily available, odorless as well as non-toxic. So and a variety of organic compounds can be soluble into the CO2 gas. Its critical temperature is also very low, so at 31 degrees Celsius at 73 atmosphere. Hence, it permits a wide selection of temperature, and other mobile phases employed in SFC includes ethane, pentane, dichlorofluoromethane, diethyl ether, and tetrahydrofuran. So this type of mobile phase we can use. So preferably most of the supercritical fluid chromatography uses carbon dioxide. So it has variety of qualities over these another supercritical fluids. Now we'll see the detectors. Now this is the important part of the instrument. So detector detects the components which are present into the eluent, and according to that gives the chromatogram. So the important advantage of supercritical fluid chromatography technique is that one can use a sensitive and universal detectors which are used in GLC. So whatever the detectors we are using into the gas liquid chromatography, that can be used in SFC also. For example, flame ionization detector can be employed in SFC, thermal detectors, TCD, thermal conductivity detectors. So in this way, whatever the detectors we are using in GLC, that detectors we can use in supercritical fluid chromatography. So we can use electron capture detector also. But most of the cases, flame ionization detector is good for this SFC. Now we'll see the advantages of SFC, that is supercritical fluid chromatography. So this technique is applicable to the class of compounds that cannot be easily analyzed by GLC or HPLC. So applications of this SFC is over the GLC or HPLC is that the compounds, some of the class of compounds that will be difficult to analyze by GLC or HPLC. In that case, we can use this supercritical fluid chromatography. The resolving power is approximately 5 times that of HPLC. So this is 5 times better resolution power as compared to the high performance liquid chromatography. SFC can analyze non-volatile, polar or adsorptive solids without derivatization. So SFC can analyze most of the organic compounds like non-volatile, polar or adsorptive solids. So we don't need to make a derivatives of this one. For example, if we want to use if we have a detector like electron capture detector, so in that case we have to convert our solute or analyte into its derivatives, which contains a more number of electronegative atoms for the formation of ions. So in this case, that is supercritical fluid chromatography, we don't need to derivatize our analytes. It can also analyze a thermally labile compounds and solids of very high molecular weight. So suppose some of the polymers which has a high molecular weight, or biomolecules which has a high molecular weight, but that are not thermally stable, and if you are increasing the heat column temperature, then they may get decomposed. So in that case, this method is useful, that is supercritical fluid chromatography. So this can be used for the thermally labile compounds as well as solids. Supercritical fluid have low viscosities and hence gives faster analysis. So it has a low viscosity, so it gives a faster analysis. SFC can be used with a wide range of sensitive detectors, so we can use any detectors. Another advantage of SFC is that a supercritical column are much easier to interface with mass spectrometers that liquid chromatography column. So this is the more advantage than the liquid chromatography or HPLC. In this case, the supercritical column can be easily interfaced with the mass spectrometer. So simultaneously we can determine the mass also. Simultaneously we can use the we can take the mass of that solid also. That is, for example, LCMS, that is liquid chromatography mass spectroscopy. So similarly, this is SFC-MS. It means that simultaneously SFC separation also done and analysis by using the mass spectroscopy can be done. So in this way, this is the one of the advantage of this supercritical fluid chromatography. So separation plus mass analysis can be done simultaneously together. Applications of this supercritical fluid chromatography, we'll see. The SFC has been applied to wide range of variety of samples, including natural products, drugs, foods, pesticides, herbicides, surfactants, polymers, polymer additives, etc. So wide range of organic compounds, biomolecules, we can use this supercritical fluid chromatography for the separation as well as analysis, qualitative as well as quantitative analysis. So in this way, these are the most important technique for the separation of complex mixture of biomolecules as well as organic compounds. Now we'll see next, that is capillary electrophoresis. We start with the capillary electrophoresis. This is one more technique of the chromatography. The principle of this electrophoresis, capillary electrophoresis, that is CE, is an analytic separation technique which allows ion and charged molecules separation based on mobility difference in a short period of time with high efficiency and low solvent consumption. The name of this technique is due to the site where separation takes place, that is a capillary, which is a tube with inner diameter ranging around 10 to 100 micrometers, so that much small. That's why according to the site of apparatus or separation takes place, where the separation takes place, according to that this name is given, that is capillary electrophoresis. So electrophoresis, another name, electrophoresis, the separation of ions or charged molecule is done by application of some electric current. So that is called as capillary electrophoresis. So capillary means the site of separation where separation actually takes place in the instrument, while electrophoresis, it means that by application of electric current, the separation of charged ions, charged molecules is done according to their mobility differences for particular time with high efficiency and low consumption of solvent. So solvent requirement is very less in this capillary electrophoresis. So this is the principle for electrophoresis, that is capillary electrophoresis, CE. Now in short, we will learn technique and instrumentation. So capillary electrophoresis instrumentation is relatively very simple as compared to the HPLC, GC and gas chromatography. It consists of two platinum electrodes. Generally 2 electrodes are there in electrophoresis, that is anode and cathode, connected to a high voltage power supply and a fused silica capillary tube where separation is actually takes place. The fused silica capillary tube whose ends are immersed into reservoir containing a buffer solution. For the detection, the capillary tube must have an optical window simply made by removing the polymer coating, and this window is aligned with the detector, which is often UV. So in this case, capillary electrophoresis, whatever the silica capillary tube is used, that should be immersed into the reservoir containing a buffer solution and containing our charged ions or charged particles. And for the detections, we have to use the detectors. So in this case, most of the time UV detectors is used, that is ultraviolet light. So for that purpose, we have to make a optical window for application of this UV detector. So that is very simple technique. By removing the polymer coating of this silica capillary tube at the one end, we can make this optical window for the application of detector. So that much simpler technique as well as instrumentation is there. See here, these are the two reservoirs. One is for inlet electrolyte. So here is the buffer solution and sample solution. This is the outlet electrolyte reservoir, and this is that silica tube, fused silica tube, that is capillary. So diameter is around 10 to 100 micrometer only. So these analytes are passing like this. So their from this anode to cathode, this high voltage electricity is applied over here. So difference in mobility of the ions of the charged molecules in this tube, that is fused silica tube. So based on the mobility or differences in a short period of time in a fused silica capillary, the difference in mobility of the charged ions and charged molecule will take place to reach over here. According to that, separation of that ions or charged molecules will take place. So at this particular area, the detector is applied. So detector detects the components which are coming with this buffer solution and gives a chromatogram in the form of graph. So this is the simple instrumentation for the capillary electrophoresis. Capillary because here this column, this is the small column, narrow column, so that is called as capillary, and in this case the separation will take place in the capillary, that's why this is called as capillary electrophoresis. जसं कॉलम क्रोमॅटोमध्ये कॉलम वापरतो, इथे आपण कॅपिलरी वापरली म्हणून याला कॅपिलरी इलेक्ट्रोफोरेसिस. इलेक्ट्रोफोरेसिस वी हॅव टू अप्लाय द इलेक्ट्रिक फोर्स, electric voltage in between these two reservoirs. One is anode, one is cathode. So these are the two platinum electrodes. इथे काय, इथे याची कवरिंग असेल, प्लास्टिक कोटिंग किंवा इनर्ट कोटिंग जी असेल ती रिमूव्ह करायची, जेणेकरून ही कॅपिलरी ओपन होईल डिटेक्टरसाठी. सो डिटेक्टर डिटेक्ट्स द presence of analyte which is present into this eluate, and it gives you chromatogram in the form of graph. So this can be used for the qualitative as well as quantitative analysis. So it gives migration time versus signal. The buffer solution can be modified by adding a substances which leads to alternative mechanism of retention and therefore to different modes of capillary electrophoresis. So in that buffer solution we can add some substances so that can alter the properties of this buffer solution. So the mechanism of retention will get changed. So according to that one, this capillary electrophoresis can be mentioned like capillary zone electrophoresis, that is CZE, micellar electrokinetic chromatography, that is MEKC, then capillary gel electrophoresis, that is CGE, capillary isoelectric focusing, that is CIEF, and capillary isotachophoresis, that is CITP. So in this way this capillary electrophoresis can be changed into this type of chromatographies by changing the properties of buffer solution by addition of some of the substances. So we can alter the mechanism of retention and different modes of capillary electrophoresis will takes place. Now we'll see the applications of capillary electrophoresis, where this capillary electrophoresis is useful and what are the advantages over GLC, HPLC gas chromatography. This technique is used in different research areas such as biotechnology, pharmacy and medicines, in biochemistry also. So whatever the biological samples like charged ions or charged molecules which are formed into this biotechnology, pharmacy as well as medicine, that can be separate by using this capillary electrophoresis. It requires very less time because it is just a capillary. We have to apply. So instrument is very simple. Instrumentation and technique is very simple. So we can use this capillary electrophoresis for the separation of ions as well as charged molecules. So CZE, that is capillary zone electrophoresis, has been employed in a bioscience in order to separate peptides and proteins and also for the separation of organic acids as well as inorganic. So capillary zone electrophoresis we can use for the separation of these peptides, electrophoresis, organic. So next is MEKC, that is micellar electrokinetic chromatography. MEKC is used for the separation of charged solids as in CZE, that is capillary zone electrophoresis, but also neutral ones. Some examples are like amino acids, vitamins, pharmaceutical products, nucleotides and some of the explosive. So this technique is useful for the charged molecules as well as neutral molecules also, like amino acids, vitamins, pharmaceutical products, nucleotides, various. So in this way we can separate by using the MEKC. Then CGE, that is capillary gel electrophoresis, usually used in a biological science, polymer science for the separation of macromolecules. So the molecules would have a high molecular weight such as proteins, nucleic acids or some of the polymers. So we can separate by using the capillary gel electrophoresis. So in that case we have to add some of the gel ion exchangers reagents, that is ion exchangers, for the separation of these proteins, nucleic acids as well as polymers. And then CIEF, that is capillary isoelectric focusing, is a mode used for the separation of peptides, proteins based on their isoelectric points. So according to the pH values, whatever the different amino acids have different isoelectric point. So depending upon the isoelectric point we have to maintain a pH of that capillary. So we can separate the peptides as well as proteins with having a different isoelectric points. So according to this different isoelectric point we can separate the mixture of proteins and peptides. CITP, isotachoelectrophoresis, is useful for the analysis of cations as well as anions simultaneously. Now we'll see some of the classification of chromatographic method. Up to now we have learned so many chromatographic methods. So there is a broad classification according to their stationary phase, electrophoresis as well as according to the method of separations. These chromatographic techniques are broadly classified into following classes. So that classification of the chromatographic methods is according to separation method and development process. So first one is adsorption chromatography. So adsorption chromatography, where the separation is based on mainly differences between the adsorption affinities of the sample components on the surface of active solid, that is solid stationary phase. So adsorption chromatography means the stationary phase is a solid stationary phase. So what are the adsorption disadsorption affinities for the substrate molecule over this solid stationary phase? So that differences, according to the differences, this separation will take place, that is called as adsorption type of chromatography. So for example TLC, so this is one of the best example for adsorption chromatography. Then column chromatography is also adsorption type of chromatography. Then partition chromatography, the separation is based on mainly a difference between solubilities of the sample components in stationary phase. So stationary phase is most probably a liquid. So that's why this type of separation is called as partition. That is partition coefficient based on the different partition coefficient, based on the different distribution coefficient. So separation will take place. That is called as partition. The stationary phase is liquid. So for example, mobile phase is gas, then that is called as gas chromatography. If mobile phase is a liquid, then that is called as liquid chromatography. So according to their classification, our paper chromatography. Paper chromatography is one of the best example for liquid chromatography. Whatever the atmospheric moisture or water adds up on the paper, that acts as a stationary phase, and whatever the eluent solvent is used as a mobile phase. So this is the separation of the solids will takes place according to the distribution coefficient, according to their partition in between these two phases, stationary liquid phase as well as mobile liquid phase. So this is called as partition chromatography. The best example is paper chromatography or gas chromatography. Ion exchange chromatography. The separation is based on mainly the difference in the ion exchange affinity of the sample components. So sample components has a ion exchange affinities, like cations replaces by some of the cations, one of type of anions are replaced by another types of anions. So this type of is called as ion exchange chromatography. So there is a change of ions will takes place in between the substrate and stationary phase. That is called as ion exchange chromatography. Present day, the ion exchange chromatography on a small particle high efficiency column, the usually utilization in conductometric or spectroscopic detectors, is often referred as a ion chromatography, that is IC. So the separation will take place in a different ability of changes of the exchange in ions from the solid and solid stationary phase. That is called as ion exchange chromatography. Next is a exclusion chromatography. Exclusion chromatography means separation is based mainly on the exclusion effect, such as difference in molecular sizes. So the separation is depends upon the size, shape, or whatever the charges present on the chromatography. The term size exclusion chromatography may also be used when the separation is based on molecular size. So this is useful for the mostly polymers compounds. So their separation is takes place according to their size. The term gel filtration or gel permeation chromatography, that is GPC, were used earlier to describe this process when the stationary phase is Solon gel like Cefadex. The term chromatography is specially used for the separation of ions in an aqueous phase, that is called as ion exclusion chromatography. Gel permeation chromatography, that is GPC, is the best example for this exclusion chromatography. So in that case, the separation of the substrate or molecules will take place according to their molecular size, molecular shape, and whatever the charges present on that one. If charges are used for this separation technique, then that is called as ion exchange chromatography or ion exclusion chromatography. Next is affinity chromatography. So this expression characterizes the particular variant of the chromatography in which the unique biological specificity like substrate enzyme interaction of the analyte or ligand interactions is useful for the separation. So some of the interactive properties of substrate and the stationary phase that is useful for the separation of substrates, samples, or analytes, that is called as affinity chromatography. So like just substrate and ligand, then some of the physical properties like hydrogen bonding, their attraction between two molecules, these are the various factors that are useful for the affinity chromatography. Affinity means interactions. There should be interactions between the substrate molecule and the stationary phase. If this affinity is more, the retention time is high. it requires more time to come out from the column. But the components which don't have any affinity with the stationary phase, that are coming easily and fast from the column with the eluting solvent. So according to this, affinity towards the stationary phase with this substrate is useful for the separation, then that is called as affinity electrochromatography. Thank you friends. Thank you for the watching.